Now, all right. It is 6:30, so we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. I don't know if Gretchen's gonna be here for sure or not, but we'll go ahead and skip over that and we can always come back. Director's reports. Any volunteers to go first?
I don't have a lot for you. I've got some updates from Anna, so I will use the time to do that. If you have not heard, not seen the city's Instagram page, the latest mural that was funded by the Arts and Culture Board out of the lodgers tax is installed at the Centennial Academy of Fine Arts.
Oh.
It's called Be Heard, H-E-R-D. It's 3 Mustangs. One of them, I swear, looks like Joe Camel. It's still really, really cool. Very bright and colorful. The school is absolutely thrilled
Awesome.
about it. So I know that Anna will have some photos for you when she comes back next month. But it looks really good. It's the Mustangs are the mascot of the school. And the muralist was Julia Williams, who goes by Designosaur. So you gotta kind of like that. And the school just started up, so I'm sure the kids are seeing it now.
Already?
So, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Douglas County started yesterday?
Littleton doesn't start till the 13th.
Next
Next
week.
week.
Those are
Next
good.
week.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Please
Yeah.
don't.
Oh,
It's not.
I'm like, take them back. You're like, I don't want them.
sorry. Didn't mean to throw anyone into a pan.
I'm like chomping at a bit. Take them, take them.
We had an excellent turnout for CAP last week on the 31st. It was at the Depot Arts Center, the Arts Fine Arts Guild hosted. So we had about 50 people there. I mean, a presentation on writing strategic plans for nonprofits, and the feedback was very positive. So thanks, Kate. I know you were there. Thank you for joining us. And Anna did a great job of putting everything together and then leaving on vacation. And I hope completely disconnected. Think about us again once that it all went off beautifully. The Arts and Culture Master Plan that the commission or the board has commissioned is in full swing. We're doing the virtual workshop survey that just went live today. We did a final review of the questions, and so it is ready to go. It will be, the idea was to have it up before Western Welcome Week started and run through September 9th. So it's live on the website. There will also be some communication going out the next day or two to direct people to that. So feel free to pass that along to anyone that you have that would like to participate. And we are still right on track for deliverable of the master plan by middle of December. So we look forward to doing that. And I will just say, I think Keen is doing a really good job for us. So I'm just very happy with where we are with that. And then finally, just comparing this with Joni, the City of Littleton's annual calendar judging contest used to be done by the Fine Arts Board. It will now be done by the Public Art Subcommittee of the Arts and Culture Board. Right now, Joni's the only one who signed up for it. So we did think it would be okay to open it up to anybody else who would be interested in doing it. It'll be the evening of September 30th, which is a Monday, and dinner is provided by the Communications Department. So if you're interested, let Becky or me know.
It's September 30th?
September 30th, Monday.
What time?
I don't.
5:30 to
5:30,
7:30, but that was a little
What Becky
tentative.
sent me.
It's
Sent us.
super fun.
So if
It's
we're already
super
on
fun.
the
Ask
committee,
Denise.
are we already going, or do I have
You've
to?
already been invited. So
Okay.
You should have an email in your inbox if you're on, because you're on Public Art Subcommittee.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you should have an email in your inbox. You can let us know or let Anna know if you're interested in doing it, but it is fun and gives you a chance to see a preview of what the photos are of the calendar for next year, and you'll actually get to pick the ones that go in.
Where's it gonna be?
It'll be over at the city center.
Okay.
Community
I
room.
think it's 5:30 to 7:30, but I think that was still
Yeah, well,
tentative.
it wasn't, that wasn't official, but that's what they were.
That's kind of floating.
That's all I've got.
From library, we, with the end of July, we wrapped up our peak summer season for children. We still have some summer activities for 18+ going through the end of August, but the bulk of our programming for 18 and under is wrapped up. We're still continuing to distribute summer reading challenge prizes while supplies last, and getting ready to pass the torch when the time is right to the schools. Thus far, we're still tabulating data, but more than 60 programs for youth audiences drew more than 3,000 attendees. Many of those programs were funded generously by the Friends of the Library and Museum, so we're grateful for their support. We're continuing to carry through programming for 18+ through the end of August and then move into fall. On the back end, we're in the planning phases for some of our late fall and spring activities, some more fun like that coming up. We're getting ready to welcome 2 new team members next Monday and the Monday after. So next Monday, we're welcoming our library associate, who's going to be our new primary point person overseeing the makerspace. That's a position that has been vacant for quite some time, and we're really glad to have found a really stellar candidate. Looking forward to welcoming them to our team. And a library assistant for youth services will be starting on the 19th, which is 2 Mondays from now. So 2 new team members, we're glad to have them. I think I was gonna mention, August 1st, last Thursday, the library, the LARC partnered with USCIS to host our naturalization ceremony, which was the first time we had done that in 5 years. We used to be in a more regular pattern of that, partnering with USCIS to host oath swearing ceremonies and naturalization ceremonies. With the pandemic, we got out of the habit, and this is our first time back. I want to give credit to our council liaison, Gretchen Ryden, for being sort of part of the genesis of the idea and the interest in getting back in that habit. And credit to Glaucia Rabella, who's our LIRC supervisor, and her team with their expertise on what it takes to pull together a program like that. It was my first time attending one, let alone being involved in it. If you've never had a chance to go to a ceremony, it's actually a very moving ceremony. We're glad to host it in council chambers last week. It got a pretty nice write-up from the Littleton Independent, which just went out today. So you can find that on their website. And we're looking forward to making it a more regular habit again. Last thing I'll mention, in terms of what's going on for museum and library as well as other city departments, we are in the thick of preparing our budget proposal for next fiscal year. Still early in the process, but we've had lots of productive conversations with city management, with finance, with other departments. Looking forward to carrying that forward to council in a couple of weeks. Those are the high points.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Just curious, what kind of programs do you do during the school year?
During the school year,
Yeah.
probably our most visible one is we have a weekly schedule of story times that are offered by our youth services division from age 0 to about 6, and families that promote a lot of early literacy skills and early literacy practices for families. It's not just for the kids, it's also for the parents and the caregivers too. A range of biweekly and monthly programs and sort of, I guess you kind of an advisory group sort of meeting that we have for teens. Board game nights, Dungeons and Dragon nights. We're working to reincorporate monthly movie nights. We have speaker series, we have guest speakers, we have casual conversation groups for library users of all ages, book clubs, technology classes, and probably some more that I'm forgetting. So just a pretty wide range. And a lot of that does continue through the summer, but we add on top of it some larger audience guest performers that are more entertaining and educational in nature. We take them outside, weather permitting, because we have audiences of 100, 150, 200 plus sometimes. So yeah, and all of our programming is now the calendar events. We do still make and produce and distribute print calendars, but all of our public programs and events are visible on our website calendar through our website. Yes.
For the citizenship
Yes.
ceremony, did you say you hosted like, instead of going out to Arapahoe County Courthouse?
Yes.
Where did you host it?
It was hosted in council chambers over in
Oh,
Littleton City
wow.
Center.
That's fabulous. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's far to get over
Yes.
to Arapahoe.
Yes. There were about 31 new citizens who were sworn in
Oh, excellent.
from 18 countries of origin, I think. So Mayor Pro Tem Stephen Barr was the MC. And we had guest speakers who included the mayor, included our county commissioner, Carrie Warren Gully, and we had staffer representatives from both Senator Bennett and Senator Hickenlooper's offices. And the actual oath was administered by, I think, the deputy director of the Denver field office of USCIS.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah. We were really proud to be able to host it. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
It's great to have that back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really cool. So next on our agenda, we have public comment, but not seeing anybody tonight. we will move to old business and project updates. Is that you, Tim?
Yeah, and then really what I talked about in the director's report was pretty much all of the updates that Anna had, but I would just mention, piggybacking on what Dennis was saying about the budget. While we have not yet reviewed Fund 27, which is the lodger's tax, all of the tiers have been loaded into the budget. And the city manager and the finance director both reviewed them, and their response was, it looks really good. So, and Jim asked me to pass along his thanks and congratulations to the board for the marathon meeting in July again.
So for new business, just to refresh our memory, JD had requested we do each month some sort of a back to the basics, museum, library. And so tonight we're starting with the museum overview and presentation with the lovely flow chart that we have. So Jim, take
Yes.
it away. It's all you.
I know everyone is pretty much assuming that I probably built this magnificent flow chart. That would be incorrect. That would be Becky's handiwork, so. I don't think anyone's surprised about that, but it is really good. And our thought was this would certainly give you some names to go with the faces that you know around here and just sort of an idea of what the general structure of the museum is. Obviously above me would be our deputy city manager, Mike Gent, and then Jim Becklenberg, our city manager above that, city council above, and then the citizens of Littleton writ large. So, but it's a nice graphic, I think, that really kind of points out where our staffing levels are. Our staffing levels are needed, but it's just sort of an overview of the organization of the museum. Becky's gonna load the PowerPoint. As Denise was saying, JD had asked for us to start doing some of these examinations of some of the organizations, arts and culture organizations, and I think his thought was let's start with tier 1. So I'll be
There you go. You're good.
thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Okay. So I'll do it tonight. Dennis has volunteered to do September. And then I think, Kate, you had talked to Nicole from South Suburban about potentially doing Hudson Gardens in October. And then we will squeeze Town Hall Arts Center in November-ish. We've also got some other business to do. Tonight, we don't have much else, so I will not spend a whole lot of time on this. I would like to give you guys an early evening after the July board meeting. But I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to re-examine the presentation that Becky and I did to city council a few months ago. Each department goes in and does a department overview to city council each year. Dennis and I had the same evening, so we did library and museum that night. But this is, not a lot has changed in the few months since we've done this. But it's sort of an examination of what we've been doing, what the museum has been up to, a look at last year in particular. So there'll be a lot of things that are very familiar to the Arts and Culture Board on here. Yeah, you can jump to the next one. Okay, thanks. So this is our mission statement. The Littleton Museum is a welcoming and unique community-based cultural facility that provides an immersive experience in history, living history, and art. The museum strives to be accessible and inclusive and to engage, inspire, and educate the public through a variety of interactive experiences. And then we have 4 value statements that are in service to that overall mission statement. And they speak a little bit more deeply about what we try to do and present to the public as stewards of history, art, and culture in Littleton. Twenty 2023 was actually a pretty good year for the museum. We did have a nice bounce back from our pandemic numbers, as you'll recall. Pre-COVID, we averaged about 155,000 visitors a year. 2020, we closed March 14th and didn't reopen fully until March of 2022. So for 2 years, we were not closed the entire time, but either closed or at partial capacity for 24 months. Our numbers dropped off the table, as you might imagine. Most museums had the same thing. We did about 25,000 in 2023. And as you might guess, the vast majority of those were January, February, and the first half of March. We did have a little bit of a bounce back fourth quarter of 2020, but still it was 125,000 off of our annual attendance. Did more of a bounce back in 2021 when we went up about 75,000. And then as we hit 2022, we started crossing that $100,000 or 100,000 visitor mark. And this year, I think we are on target, assuming we get good weather in October for our two big events, I think we're on target to get back pretty much to where we were pre-COVID. Now, one of the things that I think was a silver lining out of the pandemic was we learned how to do virtual programming, like many other organizations did. Museums were definitely on the back foot in that area, well behind libraries in terms of what we were doing. But we did learn on the fly pretty quickly, and I think our staff did a really good job of pivoting and evolving some of our programming into virtual programming. We're now doing, after a high water mark of, I think, about 95,000, something like that. A couple of years ago, we've settled in now at about 75,000 virtual visitors each year. So when you incorporate that into the attendance thought process, we're really somewhere around 250,000 or 225,000 visitors to the museum, either in person or virtually. So as we get back to that full attendance type of number, we are going to be looking for that balance point. Because we are still pretty much at the same staffing capacity that we had before. So as we come back with more and more in person, we'll level out the virtual programming to some extent. But it's good to have that as an augmentation as well. And it's also certainly taught us a lot of things about how to reach outside of the four walls and the farms. So that's been a good plus. We also looked at a really significantly accelerated replacement of our major HVAC systems. We still refer to this as the new museum. We're now 20 years old, so we're not as new as we used to be. And as you might imagine, most of our major HVAC systems at 20 years are coming into the end of life cycle, their cycles. So some of those have been cooperating and easing into retirement. Some of them have not. Some of them did not give notice. But Becky and her team handled the operations here at the museum, have done a really good job of kind of a combination of repair and maintenance and accelerating, working with our public works department and our facilities division there to accelerate replacements. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about some of the big ticket items that you've been dealing with?
So last year, we were able to get a new roof on the building, which was very much needed, but we went with an overlay system. It was about $50,000-$60,000, 20-year warranty, instead of an entire scrape and replace that would be closer to 1.5 million.
Wow.
So we're very happy with our new roof. That was a great starting point for us as well. Then we, last year we also did a update to our cabling system on the chiller. It sounds boring, it is boring, but it's very needed. But then this year we were able to do a complete rehab on the entire chiller system. They were able to do that in April. Their timing was perfect. So we're feeling good about that. We've got an air handler that's scheduled for a rebuild probably in September. And then next year is the big dance. We're hoping to replace our 2 boilers and our steam system. So that's a major one. That's looking at about $2 million. Lots of cranes, lots of holes in walls, but very much needed, and it's being very well thought through, planned out, and scheduled. So all good things. They're just coming very slow. Supply chain issues are still a real thing. Forklifts through coils is still a thing.
We have that, that's true.
So some setbacks, but overall, we're getting it taken care of slowly but surely. And I will give a shout out to Dylan, our facilities manager. He has had more than one day coming in, and he managed to keep the building open and up and running. And that included putting a sprinkler under the chiller, different variety of swamp coolers. He's very creative, and we never had a shutdown because of our HVAC, because of his creativity, perseverance.
Well, just to underscore, and I've come to respect this as well as a partner facility, the care and upkeep of the climate maintenance of the building is not just for personal comfort. It really is, it has to do with accreditation, and not being able to maintain certain climate conditions could really impact your ability to attract exhibits.
Absolutely.
And such like that. So it's a very important deal for you guys.
Fine, what a fine student of museums you've become. Well done, Dennis.
I have learned a few things from you.
No, Dennis makes a great point. That is one of the things that is a real hallmark of accreditation is quality of the facility, quality of your climate control, ability to maintain steady levels. That's really the most important thing, rather than highs and lows, it's the variation that can be very damaging, particularly with textiles, with paper, any kind of collections like that. You're looking at borrowing from the Smithsonian, it's a real impediment if you can't maintain stabilization. So it really, Genesis is exactly right. It really is critical. And I would just say, while Becky says it's slow but sure, she has been able, she and Dylan have been able to move us up on Public Works calendar of replacements by at least 2 years on almost every single unit. So still some delays and things like that, but not on our end. So kudos to Becky and her team for being able to push those through and really build some great relationships with a fellow department that I think has been critical to our
Absolutely.
success.
Yep, good relationships.
Nothing surprising about the next couple, full calendar of community events, exhibits, and programming. We are back where we were pre-COVID in terms of what we're offering to the community. Ditto with the Historic Farms daily programming. If anything, that has even moved beyond where we were pre-COVID. So we're really happy about that, and we're also really happy to have be fully staffed and be able to provide the kind of programming that the community really values. And then the bottom one is not going to be a surprise to anybody in this room. We had a lot of arts and culture board successes last year. First year with the lodgers tax grants, first year really getting going with the mural program, continuation of CAP, and then our third year in a row of SODA. So that's, or State of the Arts in Littleton. So that's all big successes, all things that council continues to compliment the board on how productive they are. I think when Kate, when you were chair, the comment we got from council on a regular basis was that there was no other board that was more engaged or more productive than the Arts and Culture Commission, Arts and Culture Board now. So kudos to everyone around this table.
Yeah. Kudos to everybody.
The other thing we always try to do is link what we do here in the museum, what we do with our departmental work plan to City Council strategic framework. Again, this year they have 5 major outcomes. Most of what we do falls within vibrant community with rich culture, as you would imagine, but we have managed to tick off some boxes in each of the 5 areas. And all of these are things that you have heard about as we've gone through the year. In particular, you'll note several items from Arts and Culture Board under the first box. And then if you go down to the last, high quality governance, lodgers tax policy review, those are things that we have both done in 2023 and will be doing again now in 2024. Once we're done with the grant cycle, we'll be coming back to you in probably November of this year to do sort of a debrief on this year's cycle. Last year, we got some really good ideas on how to tweak our policy. I know we have had some suggestions already about ways that we might be able to streamline a little bit, particularly with our tier 2 process. So we'll look forward to doing that as well. But this is just sort of a bird's eye view of how we tie into those items that City Council has designated as their primary goals for 2024 and 2024 and 2025. So here's some of the things that we're working on now. In some cases, we're well into them, particularly the second bullet, the Arts and Culture Community Master Plan, as we've talked about before. This one is well underway and is really gaining ground. So we're very pleased with the work that Keen is doing for us for the Arts and Culture Board. Look forward to bringing that back to you. Keen will be presenting to the board sometime in the 4th quarter, probably the November or December meeting. We haven't got it quite scheduled yet, but we'll get that on the agenda for you all. And I know that that'll be a nice opportunity for them to have some direct interaction with all the board members. So we look forward to that. The concept master plan at the top is a complete revisioning of our main gallery here in the museum. So as you exit the door, it'll be the first one on your left. It's the story of Littleton in all its glory. And it's one that we have not done a lot with. We've always made some tweaks over the years and some adjustments, but this is the first time really in 20 years that we've done a complete revisioning. So we're working with Studio Tectonics as our consultant, a firm out of Golden. They're in concept master planning right now. We have that fully funded by the city. Next year, we'll be doing the design phase of this plan, and that is already fully funded as well. We have half the funding from the city and half the funding from a generous local foundation that we probably all know, but I can't say the name. So we're looking forward to doing that. That's been a long time in the works and planning. We also think we have a plan, because we would anticipate getting a final design plan and some firm budget numbers for the build out sometime next year. And we already have identified funding in museum impact fees that we think will be allowed to use for a project like this. So it will be a fairly substantial amount of money, but having that pool of funding is really beneficial. Otherwise, we just have to go in the capital plan and hope for the best. So we're looking forward to doing that. It will probably certainly require a close down of that gallery, may require a close down some other spaces here, but much like we did through the build of this building 20 years ago, we will maintain an open and public facility. Just some areas will be off limits, I suspect, during that process. And then with Becky's guidance, we're continuing to use our Scrum framework, which is a project management. I'll just let you tell Scrum 101 if you want to. But I will preface it by saying that since Becky introduced this 3 years ago, we have not missed a deadline and we have not been over budget on a single project. So it really is a tremendous planning tool and has been a great asset for the museum team.
Scrum. Drink the Kool-Aid. So Scrum, the quick and dirty version of Scrum is a process framework to be more intentional with how you get stuff done. So busyness is not a badge of honor. We work in 2-week sprints.
That, by the way, is cleaned up considerably from what the version she uses in our Scrum meetings. So.
Be intentional about your work. Know what so we work in 2-week sprints. So we do a planning session every 2 weeks. We pull from our backlogs. We know we need to do this chunk of work in these 2 weeks. We talk about it. How are you going to do it? Is it too much? Who can help? What can wait? Then we go and work for 2 weeks. We come back. What went well? What should we keep doing? What do we need to stop doing? How can we innovate? We take another chunk of 2 weeks of work. We go and get the work done. We repeat that every 2 weeks in our sprints. You know what your priorities are. You know what other people are working on. You're all in this together. So.
Tremendous accountability, tremendous teamwork. It really, I think, built a really much stronger team. The other thing that I really value about it is because of the backlogs that Becky has built in all these areas. We not only know what we're working on right now, we know what's coming down the pipe behind it. So it really does give us an opportunity to be more thoughtful and prepared for the projects that we're working on.
No surprises. In theory, there's always injected work.
Sure.
But it doesn't have to completely derail you because you're working in 2 weeks. So it should hopefully only derail your one sprint, and then we can get things straightened back out. You can ask for help. Help can be offered. You can get back on track and finish on time. And it really does lower stress. It feels really good to move task, whatever, to done. Just, it feels good. It's silly. I go through a lot of Post-it notes.
And a lot of dopamine.
A lot of dopamine. That's right.
It really has been great though for employee morale too, I think, because it really does, as Becky says, it lowers that stress level. You know what's coming too, so you have an opportunity to really be prepared for it. So it's been a great asset. I'm really happy with the job. So thank you, Becky, for introducing that to us. And then the last item that we're engaged in right now is preparing for our upcoming re-accreditation cycle. The museum is accredited by the American Association. I guess that's all. I think all this is on the next slide now. I think about it.
Yep.
So we're accredited by the American Alliance of Museums. That's the national umbrella organization of professional museums. Our accreditation is the gold standard for museums. It really is a best practice standards work. There are about 35,000 museums in the country. About 1,200 of us are accredited. So it really is a fairly select few. I think the stat up there is 0.03% of all museums are accredited. I think then we're still pretty solid. We've been accredited since the first year we came into existence in 1970. So longstanding record of adherence to professional standards. And I think it really has, it gives you a baseline of credibility that you don't have otherwise. So I think it has been a tremendous asset for the museum. Maybe not Scrum-sized asset, but it's up there.
There's room for both.
We're doing core document review right now, so that's our strategic plan, our collections management plan, the Ryan's education interpretation master plan, something else.
Like statement, did you say?
Ethics statements, yeah, that's another one. The board is familiar with it. You just have to sign that every year as our advisory board. We have an emergency management plan that we'll be doing this year, redoing this year too. We're on a schedule to get all of those reviewed. Our self-study period ends and is due July of next year, and then we'll do an on-site assessment. We'll have an on-site visit from 2 or 3 museum professionals from somewhere else in the country. We'll come in and do a site visit, kind of go through the ins and outs of our museum. I refer to it as the museum world's version of a colonoscopy. Becky's sick of hearing this. It's not much fun while you're doing it, but it is really, really good for you. But actually it is, I mean, it is an in-depth self-study. It really is, it is an opportunity for us to look deeply at what we do, how we do it, why we do it. And then gives us an assessment from outside professionals. So it's very valuable. There will be, as we go through this process in November, December of next year, one of the things that will happen during the site visit will be a lot of stakeholder interviews. I know that there will be a panel, the Arts and Culture Board. If the entire board is interested in doing it, we'd love to have you. But they'll visit with you, they'll visit with city council, city management, select departments from the city, finance probably most importantly. And then they will do a deep dive on all of our divisions here at the museum. First and foremost, they will look at collections because stewardship of the public collection is probably the most critical aspect of being a professional museum. So Jenny's team will get a thorough going through, but they will be ready and do a fantastic job. We have always really excelled at that area. So I don't know that I would say that reaccreditation is something we look forward to, but it is something that is really valuable, and we take a great deal of pride in the fact that this museum has been accredited since it came into existence. And then we don't have to do it again for another 10 years. So this is not going to be anything new to this group, but the Arts and Culture Master Plan is just sort of a summary that Anna put together. Did a really nice job, I think. This was part of our RFP for the firm that we ultimately selected. Probably most importantly is just a review of the timeline down at the bottom. So we've done the request for proposal. We've retained our consultant. They are going to be working hard through the rest of this year to deliver at the middle of December of this year. And then next year, the consultant will present this, consultant staff will present this to the board either in December, more likely probably in January. And then we will do a study session with city council to present the findings of the master plan to them. And the idea of this master plan is that this will be our roadmap. You'll recall that our strategic plan in 2.0 was really just kind of a 3 or 4 year bridge plan from our first strategic plan to the next step for the Arts and Culture Board. Those next steps will come from this master plan. This will be our roadmap going forward, probably for the next decade. So it's the first time the city of Littleton has ever done an arts and culture master plan. I think we know some of the things that we're going to find out, and I think we're going to get some surprises too. So I think this is a great process, and right now we have a tremendously supportive city council that really, really values arts, culture, and tourism. This is the time to take advantage of it. This is an opportunity for us to really set the bar nice and high for Littleton going forward with arts and culture, and in particular, some of those action items that we've been talking about with city council. Some of them are going to be programmatic. Some of them are going to be potentially new funding sources. So this is a really great opportunity, I think, for the board to chart our pathway forward.
I'd really like to give JD a lot of credit. He really brought that forward.
He really did. Yeah, okay, you're right. This was his, and I think he started talking about it 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's been something we've been noodling on for a while. We needed to get lodger's tax in. We didn't have the funding for it any place other than lodger's tax. But we were able to do this at a tier 4 for this year. So yeah, it's yeah.
So I missed the Keene meeting with arts and culture. Can you give just a quick summary of that? Do you know what
I
mean?
didn't actually sit in on any of them. Dennis,
Oh.
Dennis attended those. Would you mind, Dennis?
Over the span of about a day and a half, I think, our site work, our in-town work with Keene involved a driving tour of most of the city, showcasing most of the arts and culture high points and features, and then a series of focus groups to engage with various stakeholders, about a half hour of a conversation each. And they asked a series of questions just to kind of gauge input and gauge perspective on what each of our sub-constituencies want to see in terms of arts and culture for the future of the city, the role that different organizations play, what our strengths are, what our opportunities for growth and improvement are, about as much as you can cram in a half-hour conversation. And then Monday evening, there was a public engagement session that took over a couple parts of this building that was more of a large group sort of visioning kind of session. I think those are the main points that I
And then
recall
wasn't
from
there something the next day?
It was a tour, wasn't there?
the
next day.
Tour, like, I thought there was something I missed.
Next day, we did
next
some focus groups.
right.
Oh, okay.
Their time with us on Monday began with the driving tour. There was some focus groups in the afternoon. That evening was the public session here, and then Tuesday morning was some more focus groups.
Okay.
So that's really what their time on the ground here in Littleton looked like. We've had some other communication with them virtually and asynchronously since they've gone back to their home offices.
When are they coming back?
That I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't got a date on the calendar yet, but they will be doing both some virtual, and I think that we did do another site visit sometime later this year as we get farther into the process, but we don't have that yet. But there will be other opportunities because I know not everybody was able to join us, certainly understandable. Thanks to Denise and JD, they were both there all day. Dennis gave us the entire 2 days, so thank you, Dennis. And then, of course, Anna was deeply involved in it.
Joe and Katie made it to the
Yep.
meeting.
Yep.
A lot of, yeah, it was a lot of data collection for the focus groups, just a lot of questions. Also with our group, it was a lot of questions. Who do we see as stakeholders that they may not have identified yet, even though there was a lengthy list? But I think it was good. Joe brought up the criterion, and that was something they had heard a lot. I don't know, there were a few things that maybe you guys wanted to touch on from the meeting, but it was a lot of questions and mostly just data collection on their end and then putting it all together.
No.
Oh, I
Does
do
anyone
have
have
a
any
couple
questions?
other
Michelle?
questions.
You know?
Just two little fun things. Well, one is fun. I was curious what your most popular virtual program is.
Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to go back. I don't know off the top of my head what the numbers would be. I think the ones that I heard the most positive, and this certainly isn't quantifiable, but I think the ones I heard the most positive feedback were the virtual tours of some exhibits that we did. In fact, we had a couple of exhibits in 2020 that were traveling exhibits that we'd already booked. In fact, one of them had already been delivered and was installed and ready to do an opening when we had to close down. So we did a video virtual tour of that one, and it was really well received. I think those were probably the ones I heard the most.
Yeah.
Becky, what you think?
Can't think what they were called, Farmer Steve.
Oh, the Farmer Steve videos, yeah. We had our farm manager, Steve Anderson, did a series of videos working with some of the livestock and the animals. What we were hearing, particularly the first few months of COVID, was just a real hunger from the community for educational content because schools were closed, we were closed, libraries were kind of closed.
Yeah.
So that's I think what we were hearing the most was, so we were really, first we were focusing mostly probably on farm programming.
Programming, the cooking demonstrations.
Cooking demonstrations were big too, but I think the livestock ones, yeah, the animals were probably the most popular ones that we heard about at the beginning. And then we did coffee with curators, we did gallery talks with some artists, just a whole range of different kind of content programming.
And then do you keep them? Do you save, like, could you replay them?
Oh, yeah, they're all available on the
On
website.
the YouTube
On the
station,
YouTube,
yeah,
yeah.
Wow.
YouTube channel.
My other question is just about your emergency plan.
Uh-huh.
Is that for natural emergencies or more than natural?
It's a little bit of
emergencies?
everything. Yeah, it's kind of a checklist The city is working on one right now too, as a matter of fact. They're updating our old emergency operations plan. The one that we have is specific to this building, collection center, and the farms. And it takes in kind of almost everything, but certainly natural type of things, weather, inclement weather, tornadoes, lightning, things like that, particularly on the farm side of things. In here, we talk about fires, you talk about potentially active shooters, things like that. So it kind of runs the gamut of any kind of emergency you might run into.
And is that just like a city plan? Like, is it the same plan as the library has pretty much?
No,
Or they're all different?
No, Tim mentioned that there's an overall emergency operations plan that sort of takes the perspective if there's a large scale emergency that affects much of the community, where many agencies are involved in disaster response. That's the city's emergency operations plan.
Like a train derailment.
Sure.
Which we've had.
Separate from that, each of our facilities have emergency operations plans for, I guess, issues that may impact just our building.
Regarding the recertification, is the farm part of that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's not, is it considered a zoo?
no, but that's actually a really good question, because there is an accreditation process for zoos and botanical gardens and aquariums. And they can be a subset of the American Alliance of Museums, depending on how they classify themselves. This one is specific to history, fine arts type museums. Where our farms would fall in would be under living history, and it would be under education and interpretation. So it's a smaller profile in accreditation than, say, collections management, but it still is an important one because it's very public programming.
Who provides oversight of the animals?
Of the animals, well, we have a staff of.
Yeah, right, but is there any organization like
Oh.
accreditation?
Yeah, well, actually, there is a component that was brand new 10 years ago when we did our last accreditation cycle that classified, particularly for museums like us that have a living history component where we have livestock or animals of any kind. They are considered part of the collection now. They didn't used to be. They kind of fell into sort of a gray area, but now they're considered part of the museum's collection. So they are the oversight for them is different, obviously, than two-dimensional or three-dimensional artifact, but it is still classified the same way. And it's not conservation, it's preservation of the
Animal
life
welfare.
of the animals. Yeah, animal welfare, exactly. Yeah, they do a nice job, and they actually consulted with a lot of zoos and aquariums and botanic gardens to get the language right for that component of accreditation.
Any other questions? Thank you for putting that together.
Thank you to Becky, who really put it
And
together.
Becky, and to the whole museum staff, because you guys do a lot of behind the scenes work that we don't always get to see. So thank
Thanks.
you. We appreciate it. Anything else for new business, if anybody has something? Otherwise, we'll go to roundtable. I only have one thing just to mention, and if you don't have Western Welcome Week on your calendar, it starts tomorrow through the next week, and there's a lot of activities. So take a look. And the parade is not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. And you might want to watch for our chair that will be in the parade as the Grand Marshal.
Grand
Is that his
Marshal.
title, Grand Marshal? So JD will be in the
I
parade.
went with Grand Poobah. He didn't.
Yes. Yes. I want to make sure I got it right
Yeah.
because, the Grand Poobah Marshal. But if you're there, wave and say hello to JD, but that's the next week. That's all I have on my list.
Bookmobile will also
Oh.
be making an appearance in the parade.
Who?
And the Bookmobile,
Yay.
along with several, no, I'm not driving. I will be one of many library staff will be walking alongside.
The dinosaur.
Yes,
In the dinosaur suit.
I'm sorry?
In the dinosaur suit.
No, that's for a
I've never
separate,
gotten to see that. I just.
it's on YouTube. Also, sort of a more practical note, both of our facilities will be observing late openings that day. Because this whole area will be overridden with parade staging and parking and whatnot. So we welcome all comers at 1 p.m.
Same with us.
Yeah.
Good reminder.
I don't have anything.
The Chalk Festival is Saturday, September 7th, so that's before our next meeting and it's gonna be a lot of chalk artists and it's sponsored by Elsewhere Collective, but ACC is sponsoring it as well. It should be bigger this year.
Where will it be?
It's downtown Littleton,
Oh,
like
okay.
the main downtown, and then ACC's doing like a big chalk making.
So you're gonna do it on the sidewalks then?
So it's on the sidewalks and then ACC will have something, like we're just adjacent to that.
Is Bagel Park involved?
I don't know, it's probably not. I think it's gonna be mostly like where all the businesses are.
Okay.
That's Saturday, September 7th.
Good enough.
I have a shameless self plug. Can I do that here?
Please do.
Please.
So a few years ago, I helped my friend make a movie and I just came to discover last month that it is available at the DVD section of Beavis Public Library.
Right.
So it's called 18 and a half, like as in 18 and a half minutes of missing tape for Richard Nixon. So it's set back in the
Oh.
70s. It's kind of a funky
Nice.
caper comedy kind of thing. It's got a really fun cast and it's
Nice.
available for free at your local library.
It's awesome.
And then also my son is going to be auditioning for his first professional role with Town Hall Arts Center for Miracle on 34th Street this
Nice.
weekend. So, like I said, just
Thank
think of
you.
myself. That's why that's cool. Yeah.
Okay, so I had fortunate opportunity to talk with Zoe Romero, who is the owner of Zacali's Tacos down in Main Street, Littleton. And she is already reserved or pulled a permit to hold a celebration for Hispanic History Month, which is the middle of September until the middle of October. I will be doing warm intros with the both of you and Zoe. I promised her that I would do that. She really wants to start an annual thing with that. And the Mexican consulate is coming in to, I believe, in October for that. So she's also working with ACC, I believe. So there will be some activities and stuff. She is working with the city of Littleton. I will have more information, I think, probably the next meeting. If you have the opportunity to go down and eat tacos at her place, it's really awesome. What I'm really excited about is that since the inception of the Arts and Culture Board, we've really talked about bringing the Hispanic community and their culture forward into Littleton. And there has been a separation between the city and that community that probably predates back to the 80s or something. And it's kind of a, you do your thing, we'll do our thing, the two shall never meet. And so I've always expressed a passion to bring those two together, you know, and my vision has always been like, if we could promote their culture in street fairs or, you know, in that part of the city or whatever we could do. And Zoe is really, really behind this and really wants to do that. So she wants to showcase their art and she wants to showcase their culture. And so just have your ears to the ground as part of the board. I think we'll do it a lot stronger next year and we'll be able to incorporate more. But I just wanted to let you know that there's somebody in the community that really believes in that and is really making an effort to bring that together. And she's also aware of that separation. Some of the feedback from her own community is, we will not eat your tacos because they're on Main Street. And so it's really the separation. I don't know if you're aware of some of that. And I don't know where it stems from, again, years ago. But she's very interested in the Immigration Center and really working with that. And so the more we can bring that forward in the years to come.
The tacos are great there and they travel well. So you can get them to go. They hold up.
Same.
They are really good.
They
And their
hold up.
margaritas are really
Really
good.
good, yeah.
And she is a force to be reckoned with. And we are so lucky to have them as part of our community.
And they were packed on Cinco de Mayo. It was nice. It may have all been white people, but it was good for them to stay.
You know, and I think it's just, I think the more that you just express the desire on both sides, I think we're gonna get there. I really do. I'm really excited to bring that part of the culture. It's also my understanding, and Dennis, please correct me because I could be wrong, but some of the things that we also have a very small Eastern European immigrant community.
Some,
That,
South Asian, Indian subcontinent.
yeah,
It's not that small though, really. It's-
and so again, that's a culture that I think they're here, they're part of us, that we would like to integrate as we talk about arts and culture. And so whatever efforts that we can make, and I think we'll need to start with education and reach out first. That's what I heard.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah,
That's great. All right, well, I don't think there's anything else on our agenda, so with that, we shall adjourn.
I think we can make a note for JD.
Thank you, everyone.
When Denise runs the meeting, we.
Yeah.